Okay. Perek Shvi of Devorah. Tiferet. And we learned a yesod, which seems like a lofty Kabbalistic yesod, but is really a very simple thing. And that is that the way the world works, and the technology of it, according to the way the Mekubalim taught us, the way the spheres works, is that everything starts off in a high place and goes to a low place. That's what we learned. So it's a top-to-down system where it's really very pashut. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world. That's the high place, a place of netzach, a place of infinity, a place of eternity. And through the process of Tzimtzum created a world. We don't need to be involved with how that happened, that transition. Tanya wrote a book on this, on the transition between Ruchnius to Gashmius. How does that work? It's not our subject. Our Indian here is to talk about how it's important as part of the creation of the world to be like Mayim. Just like Mayim always goes from a high place to a low place, so the same thing is in the Bria. One has to go from a high place to a low place. It's counterintuitive. We would think we always have to go to a low place to a high place. Also true, but it's a different sugya. The sugya here is the Ein Mayim El Torah, just like Haykol Sameh L'Chula Mayim, just like Mayim always starts at a high place and works its way down. I was thinking just Agav, we were talking a couple weeks ago about Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish, maybe even last week here, Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. So one of the questions that I asked that I think I didn't answer is that why was Rabbi Yochanan bathing in the Yarden? Like he lived by the Kinneret, why is he bathing by the Yarden? It's a Klutzkash.
Vacation.
Vacation, but on vacation you go to the Kinneret. So. Occasion goes to the Yarden. No, but it sounds like to take a shower. He was bathing in the. It wasn't. He didn't go to the beach. That was his bath. So the Litvish answer is that it had to be because that's where Reish Lakish was, and that's how history unfolded. But I just say Gesvara that the Gemara speaks about the waterworks of Eretz Yisrael. So when the Gemara speaks about it, it says the Gemara explains that there are many Mayonai all the way in the north of Eretz Yisrael, and the Golan, and the Banyas till Dan. There are many springs, and there's snow from Mount Hermon, and it goes into the springs, fills the springs can become. So the lashon of the Gemara is made Pamayas li'Yarden. Banyas is Arabic, I think, but Pamayas is the lashon of the Gemara, which is probably also Arabic. But made Pamayas li'Yarden. That's the upper Jordan. On top of the Kinneret. Yarden l'Kinneret, and Kinneret li'Yarden, Yarden li'Yam HaMelech. That's the lashon of the Gemara. So to understand how the Gemara even makes a comment that the water of the Yarden that goes through the Kinneret doesn't even mix with the Kinneret, right? It's like a stream that goes through, it's like an aqueduct or something that goes through. So. In my imagination, I can see it. When I look at the Kinneret, you could actually see like there's a wave in the middle. If you have a bird's eye view. What the significance is of the fact that it doesn't go through? Is this just a geological wonder, or is there some kind of an omen to it? I don't know. But the point is that the way the water works of Eretz Yisrael, b'hashkafa pratis, it goes from a high place to a low place. And the lowest place is the Yam HaMelech, right? Everybody saw the sign. You're now 100 feet below the water, gurgle. If you're below sea level, why isn't your car getting wet? I never understood. But you're going below, but you're going from a high place, which is, let's say, Har Hermon, the highest place in Eretz Yisrael, right? So you're going from Har Hermon all the way down to the lowest place, which is the Yam HaMelech, which is the Tchun. It's not Ness over here. It's the Tchun of water. It goes from a high place to a low place. But I just had this thought that maybe Rabbi Yochanan went it's not pashut that Rabbi Yochanan went to the Yarden Yam Melech is out of reach. But to go to the Yarden means that, like in Hasidic language, he was being mal in the tzitzis. And what did he find in the Yarden, in the low, like down? Found Reish Lakish. So that was the nitzutz that he had to be ma'ala. Ma'ala nitzutz of Reish Lakish. Reish Lakish was all about those mountains and the cannibals and the fighting and the weapons and the spears and Chel Chalai Raisa. Chel Chalai Raisa. Let me bring you back up to Tiferet, which is exactly what he did.
He had to go low to find the Malchut.
Yeah. So this is the idea of Ma'ala Nitzotzus, to go down in order to, right. Reb Nachman's whole thesis is based on all the svarim, all based on this one yesod. You got to go low to get high. Right. The whole thing. Now you don't have to learn. Right. The Kutei Moran, it's all clear. In order to get high, you have to go low. In order to jump, you have to stoop. You have to bend down to jump high, etc. So that's the regression of Reish Lakish. So here, the Talmud Devorah tells us another story, which I've discussed before, but I want to go over. But he says here, Harei lamata me'at tiferes arba sfiras v'lahen shalosh midos. Now that we're going in a downward direction, and it's important to be part of that plan, it's important to remember in all of this, just to, I think makes it easier to understand, that what the Ramchal says. The Ramchal says that Ba'etzem, us, people, Jews, Goyim, everybody, we're created for a certain purpose. It's not, that's possible, you don't need the Ramchal for that, but not a purpose that we have to empower ourselves and become great. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to make a world, and to do that he had in the world of Atzilus and Bria and Yitzira, he had different kinds of Malachim, and here in Asiya he has us. We're the Malachim. So the lashon of the Ramchal is that Ein Bein B'nei Adam LeMalachim Klum Ela B'chira Chavshis Bilvad. The whole difference is that we're also busy bees in the Bria. So you got to figure out what are we doing to further the HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Malchus. Ultimately, everything has to get to Malchus. So how do you help get to Malchus? And the answer is Torah is a good one. If you're Zoicha to learn Torah, so then you're Zoicha to Tiferes, and that Tiferes you can bring down to Hoid and Yesod, or Netzach and Hoid. And once you get to Netzach and Hoid, you can get to Yesod. Yesod is Malchus. So Avram Avinu wasn't good enough. He had to go down to Yitzchak, Chesed and Devorah. That wasn't good enough. It had to be a come together in Tiferet Yaakov, Tiferet Yisrael, Tiferet Yaakov. And then Yaakov had to give it over to the 12 Shvatim. That's what had to happen through Rachel and Leah. And then in the 12 Shvatim, just to understand, it was Yosef was Midas HaYisod, Yosef Hayab Mitzrayim. Yosef, right? That's almost low. And then out came Yehuda. Yehuda's Malchus, Melech HaMashiach. So you have Midas HaMalchus on the lowest level. So what's fascinating here is, and I just want to give this introduction, is that Mashiach is from the lowest level. Ani v'roichev ala chamor. The poorest level. So why is this? What's the svara? Because Malchus leisle megarmei klum. Malchus has no. Once Malchus is in it for itself, so then it's not Malchus. Malchus doesn't mean our Malchus; it means the Malchus of Hashem. So the Malchus of Hashem has, if we're involved in the union of Malchus, like Mashiach is involved, Ki Malchus Shalchahi, it's all about giving up everything of your own and giving it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So he has to, Al Karchach, Malchus has to, so Yesod, like Yosef, gets into a very low place. Yosef Hayab Mitzrayim. That's me to say Yesod. Malchus is even lower. Ani v'roichev ala chamor. And then, of course, it helps us understand the entire debate between Yosef and Yehuda. Which Malchus are we holding by over here? My Malchus, your Malchus. There's a chiddush of Yosef. So here the Talmud Devorah says that Lamata me Tiferes arba sfiros, there are 4 spheros to go. V'lahem shalosh midos, 3 of them are midos. Not all 4 spheros are midos, because Netzach and Hod are all one midah, which we're going to learn. Rishona, the first thing is, this is how you do Tiferes. Today, gentlemen, we're going to learn how to do Tiferes, how to be Tiferes. Tiferes hamiskoya al talmidav goyreim sha Tiferes yiskoya v'yis'ala me'al netzach v'hod shem lemudei Hashem talmidei ha-Tiferes. In order to push along the spheros and get to the point of Malchut, meaning bring Mashiach. So in order to do that, so Tiferes has to empty out, be mitrokain. Think of that river system, the water system. The Tiferes has to be mitrokain to Netzach and Hod. The visual, if it's not shot, it's a good visual of Rabbi Yochanan Averachitz B'Yardonim. It's like it's a good visual. Let's go down the river. So Yarden is a lashon yara. You read it. So it has to empty into Netzach and Hod, and then Yisod and Malchus. So therefore, if somebody's holding Torah in their hands, they're Tiferes, but they're elitist, they're Hamiskoy al Talmidim, they has a gaivah over his Talmidim. Gorem, what happens with that gaivah is, Shah Tiferes Yiskoy, the Tiferes itself is a fascinating thing. It's not that, like, come let me introduce you to Tiferes. If you are a Ben Torah, if you know Torah, you are Tiferes. It's not just that, like, here's Tiferes, like an abstract, object out there. No, if you have Torah now, Vishinantam Levanecha, V'dibar Tabam, then you're Tiferes. So now, if you have a gaivah with your Tiferes, this is a challenging moment, because at the moment that you really have an insight and you really understand Torah, like if you really understand something in Torah, so this happens if you've ever given over Torah and you're something you thought about, something which is very sophisticated, and then somebody says something stupid while you're doing so, like they're just not getting it. Like some people get it, some people don't get it, right? I mean, we've all had that. So for the person who, if a person doesn't get it and asks you a question which is like sort of grub and kind of misses the dacus of what you're saying, it's extremely annoying. It's not. So there's a certain a gaivah that comes. I'm telling you something very fine and a very fine point. And you're by grubbing it. You're making it thick and unrefined. You're taking so that's gaivah. It's a challenging moment to be able to have the highest level and be able to give it to a level below you. It's a difficult challenge on any level of Torah, any level of anything behind. But this is like, how many people have patience to learn with kids? It's a hard thing to do. It's a very difficult thing to do, especially if you're I always have a difficult time with it. But that is the tachlis of Shinantan Levanach Ela Talmidim. That is the tachlis of the whole thing.
With humility.
It is humility. It is Tiferes, yeah.
May I take a half a minute? The Hainuhach is exactly this with the Binyan Beis Hamikdash that the Shvili Pinchas brought on why David HaMelech was not the one to build it, but his son. It says in Malachim that it says, "Vayihi in the Levav David Avi," with no bias.
What are you reading there?
It's from Malachim.
Oh.
It's from Malachim. Shlomo HaMelech speaking, and he says, "It was my father had in his heart, he had a pure heart to build just the Shem Shamayim, period. But Hashem Yisbarach told him, you're not going to build the Beis Hamikdash. Why? So the Shvili Pinchas interprets it as that if David HaMelech were to have built the Beis Hamikdash, since he was the one who bought it with his money and planned it and put all the work into it, there might be a small gaivah left in there. So at the time when he planned it, though, the call levav, in not just his levav, like it says, the call levav. It was completely clean at that point. There was no gaivah at that point. So that's when Hashem Yisbarach said to David HaMelech, you can't build it because there can't be any aspect of gaivah in the building of the Beis Hamikdash. Your son
has to be Malchus. Has to be Malchus. The pella on this is very beautiful. Thank you. The pella of it is that Shlomo HaMelech was so rich and glorious, but it wasn't his. It doesn't mean that there's a nius to the place of Malchus. I have any. My Malchus leisle megarmei klum. Mashiach himself is reichiv ala chamor, ani v'reichiv ala chamor. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Malchus kicks in, and that was why there was such wealth in the time of the Bayis Rishon, the time of Shlomo HaMelech. His wealth, he was a world power. Shlomo HaMelech, he was trading, he was doing deals. The deals they do today, in Vienna are nothing compared to what you read with Shlomo HaMelech, the deals that he was making with all of the nations around here, which is like unbelievable. And he was giving them prosperity, and they were giving us prosperity. It was like Gan Tzizach. Okay, so has to go down. If someone can lower themselves, and teach with ahava, it's not that you're engaging tiferes, you are tiferes, and now the tiferes turns into netzach and hoy. Lefichach. So what's the halacha? Lefichach yeh ha'adam noyach l'talmidav. Person is learning with whoever you're learning with, your talmidim, your children. V'yilamdem kasher yuchlun se'es. You should teach them as much as they can handle. Meaning gaivah is when I teach them more than they can handle. Like I'm teaching that, I'm doing it for me. So I'm teaching them more than I can handle. The anivus is when I can crawl into the Talmud's mind and teach according to what the Talmud needs, not according to what I want to give over. So I can want to give over this, but again, this is the tzimtzum of the Bria. Let's package it down to a place where people can understand it. You look at somebody people in history, let's say the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov, before he became like a Hasidic Rebbe, was like probably the biggest makubal in the door. The history of the Baal Shem Tov is that he was the leader of a group of mekubalim, secret mekubalim that were all over the place. And then at some point he decided after Shabtai Tzvi and all that we needed a movement in a great Hasidus. But you read the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov, like you couldn't get anything like simpler. Simple in the sense that it's just like he's teaching children. He's teaching. From that came the Kedushas Levi and it was Shemagid and the deepest bites in recent Jewish history. But it was the idea was to take all of this and to all the esoterica and to bring it to a place which is digestible, edible. So that's taking Tiferes and creating Netzachot. What he was doing was bringing us closer to Malchus. I presume that was his kavanah. Lefichach yadam noyach l'talmidav yilamdem kasher yuchlon se'es, as much as they could carry. Tiferes b'schusay yashpia limudei Hashem kafi b'chinasam. Now the Tiferes has trickled down into the bechina of the Talmud. Haruya aleim. Shenis, the second thing that has to happen if we're embodying Tiferes is hamiskoy. It's all about gaivah. The bottom line is gaivah pushes everything back. If you're holding it for Malchus for zich, why are you taking the Torah that came to you, and now you're holding it and even pushing it back to where it came from? It's like you're throwing it back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu instead of letting it flow. It doesn't make this too valuable for you. No, this is where it's supposed to go. Otherwise, you're missing. Or years ago, like a good mushal, it was years ago when I was I spoke once in the University of Rochester. So there was a guy who came to he was a doctor, but he was a specialist in medical school. He was specializing in malaria. So malaria is it was like you get certain kind of mosquitoes carry malaria, and then you can get malaria and you die, right? So he was specializing in malaria. So I assumed somebody's specializing in malaria, so he's going to go now to the Amazon or something and go treat people. So I said to him, so when you finish, you're going to the Amazon? He said, wouldn't go over there. It's full of malaria. What's the? So we could do a move to Manhattan. I don't understand what you're going to do with this. Like the whole zach, the whole point of this is to be able to carry on to the next step, right? Otherwise, what's what are you doing? What's the point, right? So, full of malaria.
Get research grants.
So okay, that's the first. So the second thing is hamisgoa b'tayrosai al ha'ani umevazai. So here there's a very interesting. There's a tendency of somebody, again, put yourself in the place. I'm sure you've all been there of like when you realize something and you have a certain epiphany in Torah, particularly. There's a certain gaivah that comes over us that we sort of get it more than everybody else. So automatically, there's a certain I understand something they don't understand. So hamiskah b'teirasei al ani. So now if somebody will meet an ani, right away you realize that I was zocha to some siyata d'shmaya over here. I'm one of the boys. I get the Torah, and this person Nebuch doesn't get it. So there's this miskah al ani. And therefore there comes a bizu. And you see, Chazal is full of this idea of the Nisayan of Hillel, the Nisayan of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, the Nisyanis that the Gedolei Hadar of all others, like not to be Mavaza Ani. Teach me the Torah while I'll regal achas. And Ani comes. Even an animal, like a Mavaza's Ani. Kahu Uvda, he said, so the Talmud says it's like the story of Eliyahu Hanavi Shenidmel Rav Shimon ben Elazar, Ka'ani Machayer, who appeared to Rav Shimon ben Elazar, like an ani machayer, like a disgusting ani, nivze, nimas, lahachshiloi. And the whole point was, and this is a fantastic insight into a Gemara that we've learned many times, but that Eliyahu Hanavi was testing Rav Shimon ben Elazar and came to him as a ani bazui, nivze, and nimas. It was dirty, he smelled, lahachshiloi. So this is a Gemara. I just want to go over it. We went to once in Perek Avos.
What does ani have to do? He has to talk about a financial ani?
So that's what I'm saying, that even a financial ani, the point is if you're a gaivah, you're a gaivah. I was zoche who was not zoche. There's right away, like I'm like a prince of the Lord. He's an ani. So you see yourself in a different place.
It doesn't say that it was,
Sorry?
It doesn't say that the Gemara was Eliyahu Navi, no? It's just.
It doesn't say it was Eliyahu Navi, no. Where's the Gemara? Chafam and Beis and time to say that. The Gemara says, I want to learn it together. Chafal? Chafam, no. Tana Rabbana, Lo'elam Yehei Adam, let's see. Lo'elam Yehei Adam Rach Kikonev Alyeh Kasha Kares. The reason I want to learn this is because I'm interested in why this is the limud. The limud is that a person should be Rach Kikonev. This is the title of the sugya. He should be Rach Kikonev, meaning a reed tree is flexible, like a bamboo. It's flexible. So the Chazal say, the Perek Avos even says that if even all the winds come, it'll flow to the right, it'll go to the left, but at the end it'll remain standing, as opposed to a cedar tree, which is powerful cedar tree, but comes a tornado, clicks, and then it's firewood. There's nothing to do with it. So the limud here is different than the message that we're learning in the Talmud Devorah, but maybe it's the same message. Ma'aseh Shabbat Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon. Two gears of Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon. Could be either way. So Ma'aseh Shabbat Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon Migdal Gidar. He came from Migdal Gidar. According to the Avos of Nasan tells the story, he went to Migdal Gidar. The story happened in Migdal Gidar. So there's a lot of different gearses in the story. Mi base rabbis. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon was a Talmud of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir went into a gullus. The Gemara says he went to a gullus. His wife Beruria went off to Derech, and he was embarrassed by it, and he went into a gullus, and we didn't see Rabbi Meir for a long time. Story of Rabbi Meir, and certain Talmidim had access to Rabbi Meir, and they went to learn by Rabbi Meir, who was the Gadol Hador, right? Ein B'dar Shel Rabbi Meir, ki Rabbi Meir, ein halacha k'maiseh. Nobody was as big as Rabbi Meir, but Ein Alo Moshe. So he was coming. I believe the right story is to Migdal Gdor, mi base rabbi from the house of Rabbi Meir, Rachuv al Chamor, Matayel Sfas Hanar. He was riding on a chamor. He was Matayel al Sfas Hanar, going along the beach. V'samach simcha gedoyla, and he was tremendous simcha. So here you have a person who just had giluyim, like mamash giluyim of Eliyahu Navi, like from Reb Meir, the things that Reb Meir was megala to him, and he was high. He was high.
Yeah, we make it saying he was on a chamar and by the nahar.
Interesting, right? V'haisa daitoi gasa Allah, says the Gemara, and he was feeling daitoi gasa Allah. So how do you want to explain it? There's a certain gaivah there. So he's feeling like a besser mensch. Daitoi gasa Allah. Why? And while he was there, in this story, who was extremely ugly. Isha Machayer, famous Isha Machayer. Taisa says here, Sefta Derech Eretz, Mefarish Doise Adam Hainu Eliyahu Navi. That's Taisa. L'toiv nischavein, and Eliyahu Navi was l'toiv nischavein. The Ramak says of an art by us that he came to test him. Right? L'hachshiloi. Try to see if it could be. In other words, here you learned the Torah of Reb Meir. Now what? So Amar Loi Shalom Alecha Rebbe. So he said, the ugly guy said to Shalom Alecha Rebbe, to Rebbe Elazar Reb Shimon. He didn't answer him. Amar Loi Reika. Kama Machayer Oisai Shema Kol Bnei Yircha Machayer and Kamoischa. You are like unbelievably ugly. Maybe your whole city is like this. Is this like a natural phenomenon? Everyone who comes to your city is ugly. Amar Loi. So the fellow answered, I don't know. Elalech ve'amar lu'uman shasani. Like, why don't you go visit my maker? Kama mechor klizesh asisach. Tell the Rebbeinu Shalom, you made such an ugly keli. Kivin shiyad ba'atzmei shechata. He realized that he did a terrible thing. Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon. Yared min hachamor. He got off the chamor v'nishtatach lefanav, and he prostrated himself before him. Amar Loi, and he said to him, Nanesi l'cha, I've hurt you, macholi be moichel me. Amar Loi, eini moichel l'cha, I'm not going to be moichel you, ashetelech l'uman sha'asani. I told you what I want you to do. I want you to talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not to me. It's like very interesting. I want you to talk. Amar Loi, kama m'chayr klizeh sha'asisa. Now, this is a classic case of Reb Meir, Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon, Isha M'chayr. This was a classic case of Yeridas Hamayim. Hayamatayel Acharav. Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon was following this again. The lashon in the Avos Reb Nassan is that he was on his hands and knees following him. Be moichel me. He was so humbled by this. Until he came to a city, ugly city, right? Yatzu b'nei Yiroi l'krosai, and the b'nei Yir, right? The call went out that Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon is here. Shalom alecha Rebbe, Shalom alecha Moiri, Tzadik Bolir. Amar lahem, so the ugly guy said, L'miyatem karin Rebbe, Moiri. Amar Loi, Lazeh shematayel acharecha, the guy who's crawling behind you. Amar lahem, Zeh Rebbe, Al Yirbu Kamoisoi B'Yisrael. There should be no longer any more such Rebbes. Amar Loi Mipnei Ma. What's their problem? Amar Loi Kach L'Kach. So he told them the story. I told him Shalom Aleichem, a nice thing. I came Shalom Aleichem Rebbe, and he tells me I'm ugly. So Amar Loi Afal Pikein Mecholoi. So the city folk said, even so, be Meichel him Shadam Gadol Hu B'Torah. So of course, he's a Gadol B'Torah. So, it means to say that Rebbe, Moiri, the presumption is that he's a Rebbe. He's giving it over to the next generation. Talmud Chacham is a different thing. So of course, if he's a Talmud Chacham, he possesses Torah. Even if he's not giving it over to anybody, still possesses Torah. You got to give him cover. Okay. So for your sake, I'll be Meichel him. On the condition that he doesn't keep on doing this. Mechila was very valuable. If you have to give somebody mechila, so you have a lot of leverage here. So he's changing this whole, he shouldn't do it again. He's talking to a gadol hador here. Miyad nichnas Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon v'darash. So Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon, mechubed with the drasha in the city, and he said, what was his drasha? Lo'olam ye'adam rach ki kana v'ayeh kasha kares. That a person should be flexible, like a kana, and not be inflexible like a cedar. So why was that his drasha? What was that? Makesha. Makesha, that should be his drasha. So I once pointed out that this place, Migdal Gzor, Migdal Eder, it's the same thing in the Avos Reb Nosson. Migdal Eder. So this is in Chumash. One of those things that I wish somebody else would say, it's not me, but it seems to be pretty clear. Here the Torah says in Parshas Vayishlach that Rachel Imenu died when she had Binyamin. But Thomas Rachel Vatikaver B'derech Efrasa He Beis Lachem. So where's Rachel buried? Kevarach. In Kevarach. That's where Rachel. Vayatzev Yaakov Matzev al Kurasa, he Matzev Kuras Rachel ad Hayon. That's clever Rachel. Vayisa Yisrael, Vayet Aholai Mihalal Migdal Eder. Now the next place that Yaakov went after he buried Rachel, so it's in the area of Beis Lachem there, is he went to Migdal HaEder. Vayihi V'shchoin Yisrael B'eretz Hahi Vayelech Ruvain, Vayishka V'sbila Pilegesh Aviv. At that time in Migdal HaEder, so Ruvain went and slept with Bilha, Vayishma Yisrael. So Rashi says in the name of Chazal that Ruvain didn't sleep with Bilha, but he was Bilbel Yitzui Aviv. So he took Yaakov Avinu's bed, and it was in the tent of Bilha, and he thought that wasn't kibbut av for his mother, for Leah. So he moved around and took upon himself to move around the furniture in a way that the covet for Leah was the Yaakov, now the Rachel's dead, Yaakov should be in Leah's tent, not Bilhah's tent, right? So, and Yaakov Avinu was very angry about this. He was very angry about this. So this Migdal Eder, so the Targum Yonasim ben Uziel says as follows. Follow me here with the Aramaic. V'havi kachro Yisrael ba'arahu. A little bit earlier. Unatal Yaakov went upras lemashkina min lahala and pitched his tent further lemigdala de Eder to Migdal Eder Asra, which is the place the mitaman asa di skala malka Mashiach b'sayv yamai. So it's like almost an insignificant thing, a piece of geography. You move to Migdal Eder, no. Migdal Eder, Rachel died. That's the place where this Targum Yonasim always gives me a chill, right? He went to the place where there's going to be the Gilui. And Migdal Eder, we know where Migdal Eder is. Migdal Eder is outside of Yerushalayim, like 20 kilometers outside of Yerushalayim, in the area of there was a kibbutz that was started actually by Haredim, I believe, called Migdal Eder. Before it was a gush, right? And then I think the Arabs destroyed it because they knew it was the Makom B'Iskal Yipei Mashiach. They had such a tradition that that's a place of Mashiach. The Christians also held that place to be a very holy place, but it was a place of Mashiach. And then we put Migdal Eder in Gush Etzion. I think that's the way it is. Well, Gush Etzion. Why is Gush Etzion called Gush Etzion? Does anybody know? Oh?
What?
Sure, guy. Etzion. What's Etzion mean?
What's the name of it?
Good.
No, the guy who started his name was Holtzman. So Holtzman is Etzion.
Ah.
See, that's that's.
He did the same place. Migdal Eder, I think, was by the Temanim in 1936. It was destroyed. It was rebuilt. Destroyed, and then in 43, Holtzman came and repurchased it. So I think it's on the same spot.
It's on the same
I
spot?
believe so.
I thought it was moved a bit, but okay.
I mean, It's certainly built to Azor.
Right, they even found they find a lot of rivers that went through places a couple thousand years ago that they're dried up. That there, I know in the real Migdal Eder, the archaeologists found that there was a river track. So this is where Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon was being Matayel and Migdal Eder Roichev al Achamar. Coming back from Rabbi Meir, he had all this Torah, he was Besimcha, and he was Roichev al Achamar. Maybe he was supposed to either be Mashiach or bring Mashiach. Huh? There's a nar there. That's what I'm saying. There isn't. Huh?
The aqueducts.
It could be. I'm not. Yeah. I mean, there were archaeologists that were arguing over here last time we talked about it, whether it was aqueducts or whether it was actually a river. But I'm not a bucky. I know there was water there. But the point is that this is where the story of the Isha Machayer took place, in a place of the Gilui Mashiach, a place where it's supposed to be the Gilui Mashiach. So to make so what does that mean? It means to say that it's all about taking the Tiferet, which he learned by Reb Meir, and bringing it to a place that's Choid, Yisoid, Malchus. Yisoid is always poor, and Malchus is poverty. So here's this idea that where the Devorah says of bringing something down. I just want it's an interesting theory here that you see. Look at the next Targum, if I'm not mistaken. It catches much of the Aramaic as you can. V'havi kad shro Yisrael ba'arahu v'azol Ruvain bilbul yas mitzvah debila plakte. Right? Came Ruvain and he was mevalbel the beds of his father. Davoy, and he took it away from Bila Plakte Davoy. And he was switched it to lay. And says the Donis and Menazil that was considered as if he slept with Bila. Ushama Yisrael, that's all it says is Vayishma Yisrael, but here it says, listen to the Targum. Shama Yisrael Uvayishle, and he got upset at Reuven. What was he upset? Like simple upset is mind your own business. Like what's we doing here? Uvayishle v'Amar Vai Dilma nafak minip psula hechama denafak min Avram Mishmo min Abba nafak Esav. Right? Like he says, what's going to happen here? Avram Avinu had Absul, Yishmael. Yitzchak had Absul, Esav. I thought mitasi shlema, and now I see that I also have Absul. So that's what Targum says. So the pshat is like you see that not only did Avram Avinu have a Yishmael, Lu Yishmael he had a preference to Yishmael, and Yitzchak had a preference. He wanted to give the bracha to Esav. So what's this Natiyah to the Ra? The Natiyah to the Ra is exactly this: the spheros going from a high place to a low place. We give a Yitzchak, he's like a whole high madrega. I like Yishmael. Yishmael is taking it into the earth, taking a mamish into Malchus. Okay, Sarah was against it. Sarah was against this plan. He's not. Well, Yirash, if Yitzchak, but it's not going to happen. Yitzchak says, okay, I have Esav here, Gishmak. Like Esav, I could really bring what I have from Avraham, and I could really bring it to a low place. So Rivka was against it. Rivka was against it. So interesting, right? Yaakov, Vitaso Shlema. So he didn't have this. But he could, now that Rachel has died, he could live with Bilhah. Move the chain downwards. Bilhah is not Leah. So he could live with Bilhah. Comes Ruvain, not understanding what's going on over here. And he says, if a Bilbel, no, you're not to live with Bilhah, you're to live with Leah. Kavod. So what does Yaakov say? So now, now I have to have my own Esav or my own Yishmael. Now it has to go down from me to a lower madrega. So he says, "Vai," says the Targum. Now that you messed up this way, I'm not sure why it was not reversible, but now that you messed up this way, where I'm going with the Tiferes, going to the Netzach and Hoid, which is Bil and Zilpa, I was able to get to Yisai. At the end, he had, none of this happened at the end, but that was his worry. In other words, I've got to bring it down somewhere, so where are you letting me bring it down? Where did it come down? Can I get Ritzoinai? Bikesh Yaakov Leisha B'Shalva. Kafat Alav Regzah Shel Yosef. So Yosef was Midas HaYisod. You saw Yosef. Yosef was Yadua Midas HaYisod.
Is this why Reuben is knocked out here from Malchus? Not
Yeah.
because of the hate,
That's
but
what it says.
because of the kavod.
Yeah.
Because of the kavod.
Yeah, you can't have, that's exactly right. You can't have kavod and malchus. So what happens? Yosef, Hayab Mitzrayim. And then Klal Yisrael, of course, went into the Avos of Mitzrayim. So this was a downward spiral, which ultimately, so Yaakov knew that it has to go down, but he was thinking a different down. Meaning, maybe he was thinking, I'm just positive. Maybe he was thinking that if my Mita goes with Bilha, maybe we could avoid this whole Yitzias Mitzrayim, this whole rather Avdos Mitzrayim thing. Like maybe that's what he was thinking. But he was always, he was talking about Mashiach at the end of his life when he was giving him the brachas and Nistalka Mimenu Ruach HaKodesh. So he looked and he said, maybe somebody has a psul here. So everybody learns that maybe somebody has a psul here, like gaivah, Nistalka Mimenu Ruach HaKodesh. I was thinking that maybe somebody has a psul here, Baruch Hashem. Now, like I have my Asafka, I have my Yishmael, I have something like it's good. Maybe somebody has a psul. No. Yisrael, Hashem Lageinu, Hashem Echad. Like no such luck. Yaakov, you're dying, and we tell Shlema. But the point of all this that I'm saying is that it's all about the downward move. And it's all about pushing down the spheros. And it's all about, so if we're at the level of Tiferes, that if we're at the level of Tiferes, we have to make sure that our job as Malachim in this world of Bechira Chavshis is to move everything forward. That was Yaakov's job, move everything forward. And it's what's fascinating about it is you're moving things forward in a way, so this Rebbe Elazar Reb Shimon should have related to the Ish HaMachayar. You're on the Chamor, you have the Torah, you have the Tiferes, give it down. You have to do that, and he didn't do it. Rabbi, Merrily, he's holding the Torah for himself. Machzik Toiva La'atzmacha, he's holding the Torah for himself. No good. So Mashiach didn't come. But everything was right, but Mashiach didn't come. But you see the same Migdal Eder, the exact same place. The exact same place where this took place. This was again the place of Iskalus HaMashiach, says the Yarnis of Menuzil. That could have been the place where this was what Yaakov was thinking. Maybe this is not the time for Gilui HaMashiach.
Is that why he lost his Nevuah then?
He lost his Yaakov?
Yeah.
A little later, yeah. It's Dalka and Menarov.
Yeah.
Has to go in a lower. Okay. Thank you very much for listening.
You see why Yonatan Menuzio was in front of the row.
It was the front of the top Talmud.
Right, these things are just unbelievable.